Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to join in the hashtag that's being revisited for the only 10 mass market decks. This is interchangeable, obviously. This is 10 decks as of this moment in time that perhaps I'd like to dedicate more time to working with rather than 10 tried and trusted, although some of these are tried and trusted, but I'd just like to come back and spend some more time with them again. And so that's how I have picked these. These are tarot decks, and I will do another one for oracle decks separately to this video so it doesn't take too long. Now there are a disclaimer, so anything that is a set, known, original, old, you know, the OGs, so an RWS, the Thoth, and I'm going to include in that a Marseille, and this is my doesn't count. This is my Marseille. I love US Games Tarot in a Tins. I think the size is absolutely fantastic, and this one is my favourite Marseille to use. I love the colouring. I love the distress colours. It's not a standard. It's a different colourway on a Marseille, and I just really enjoy this deck. So I'm going to use this one as my doesn't count. Mostly because I had so many problems trying to work out what to pick, but yeah, so this is my it doesn't count because it's a Marseille deck, and I hope that you'll kind of let me off, otherwise I've got 11 decks. Maybe 12, I don't know, who's counting, eh? So yeah, so this is my disclaimer. It was in my pile and then I realised that actually this is a standalone original, so I shouldn't have to include it. So that is my doesn't count deck. So the first one needs no introduction, and I am going to mention it because I know that some people probably won't, but it really is a tried and tested, and it would always be in my top 10 must-have decks. So it is the US Games, is it that produces these? Yeah, so US Games produces these ones. So it is the Deviant Moon by Patrick Lenzer. It's the borderless edition, and it's a great deck for using. It's not a shadow work deck. It's really fun, humorous, I think inoffensive bunch of pictures. That can be just me, you know, art is subjective, but I just love the whimsy, the vibrance, the colours, the way it's been put together. It's the first deck I learnt to read with, so for so many reasons this one will always remain there in my forever top 3 probably. My top deck to use moves in and out of this and a form of Marseille, or the Trionfi della Luna to be fair, but because the Trionfi della Lunas aren't mass market, well, I don't know, I'm not sure, they're indie creators, so I don't know if that counts as mass market, so I haven't put them in this category. I've tried to keep my category to things that you can purchase from the mass producers, you know, Llewellyn, US Games, Amazon, who are the other ones, Schiffer, Red Feather, Rockball Trading. So yeah, I've tried to kind of keep my mass market to the easy to get categories, not ones that, you know, you can get on Etsy that are mass market, but by an indie creator, if that makes sense. I could probably do that, but I'd have to run an entirely different category for it. So Deviant Moon kicks off as deck number 1. Deck number 2, you're all going to be expecting me to show, and I'm going to show it because it's in a tin. It's US Games. It is my Babs deck. So this is the mass market version. The original version I have seen loads of comparisons of now, and I'm well aware that the artwork on this mini deck is about the same size as the one that comes on the original Barbara Walker tarot when it was originally produced. So for that reason, I don't feel the need to rush out and spend hundreds of pounds on an original deck just to have extra words in different languages on big white borders. So I'm going to keep it to this one. Now I did see Meg at Rose Honey Ritual, who's one of the people that kickstarted this hashtag. She has taken this deck and she has trimmed it all down. Now I quite liked it, although what I'm thinking, I might just take the 2 sides off and not the top and bottoms as she did. but then I'm not sure how I'd feel about having white tops and bottoms on the backs. I don't know if that's going to bother me or not. I'm also aware it's going to make it a smaller deck, so I'll have to see how I'm feeling. But you know, I might give it a try. But I quite liked it without the side borders, because it allowed the cards to bleed into each other and read nicely in a line. So that's the reason why I am contemplating that. So deck number 2 is the Barbara Walker Tarot. And again, kind of its own system for those of you who are familiar with this deck. And you can get the kind of companion book, doesn't go to this deck, but the Barbara Walker Tarot book that explains symbols and things on Kindle quite cheaply now. Next, let's do The Guardian Tarot by Beth Selenin. And this is a red feather, for those who are wondering. So comes with a nice little guidebook. I really enjoy this deck. Not everyone does, but this one I really do enjoy. I think it's quite gentle with its messages. I think it's got a lovely kind of nurturing feeling, that like sort of protector tree energy about it. I don't know if I would say fae vibes quite so much, but definitely, to me it's definitely like a nurturing kind of trees protecting, watching over you, that element of the earth. So yeah, for all those reasons. And it's got lovely colours, like quite soothing colours. And for a while I couldn't really tap into what it was about this deck that I loved so much. And I think it is just, it's peaceful to me. This deck has a very peaceful feel, slow. It takes its time. It gives good spirit messages if you want messages from ancestors or loved ones. I find that this one helps to bring those messages through if you're not directly mediumistic and you know you need something to help you pull in a message. I find personally that this one does do that as well. I don't use it as an oracle, I just use it as a tarot. But I don't work with it as much as I probably ought to, so that's why this one is in my 10. And the guidebook is really good for this one. It talks about the cards in a very different way, gives them a different kind of association. So I do think that the guidebook is important for this little deck, and it comes in a lovely little magnetic box and it doesn't take up too much room. So that's deck number 3. Deck number 4 is another US Games, and it is Tarot in the Moon Garden by US Games. This is the one with the white borders and the white backs, which I love, and it's another beautifully coloured, maybe it's the mood I was in today, but it's got lots of pastel in it as well. And it's a pip deck, so illustrated pips. So 6 of Swords, there's all the dragonflies there flying around. And I suppose there's a whimsy fairy tale kind of feel to this one as well if you're looking at it. But yeah, I really do like this deck. I like the colours. I have seen Julie at Peekaboo Rose. She's trimmed this right down the sides. I can't remember if she's taken the borders off completely or if she kept the blue kind of ribbony borders or not. But yeah, she's made it like a really narrow deck. So there are other ways to trim it down to work with it, but I wouldn't want to do too much to the backs because I love the backs on this. I have contemplated colouring in the borders black, but that would take so long and I really would need to be bored to be doing that with this deck. But it has just beautiful colours, pictures, just fairy tale, I suppose. Fairy tale world. It's a very old, I'm saying very old, it's been around for a long time, this deck, so it's not like overly diverse in its imagery, to be fair to it, but it's an old deck. When I'm in fairy tale world though, I'm kind of really not thinking too hard about stuff, but yeah, I understand why it won't be for everyone's taste, this one. And it's lovely bright sunshine on this deck. So that's the Tarot of the Moon Garden by US Games. There we go. There's my famous paperclip. So deck number 4, deck number 5. I thought we would do Tarot of the Keymasters. Really nice magnetic box, nice and small. The book is nice and compact as well. So it's an AGM production. I'm not quite sure what that means, if I'm being really honest. So it's a European produced deck. And the cards are by Lorenzo Gargiotti. I didn't say who the Moon Garden was by, did I? The Moon Garden was by Karen Marie Swikart. And this one has these backs. And this is a pip deck with beautiful golden edges. Let's get it the right way up, shall we? That way up. And I just like this for the space it gives you for readings, really. And I guess because I like Trionfi della Luna so much, and the Maria Celia Tarot, is no kind of surprise then, therefore, that I would like these kind of pip decks. I've just bought a beautiful new pip deck from Order of All Man on Etsy, but again, because that's an Etsy, so I wasn't sure whether it's up with mass market versus indie creator, but it's one that I do recommend. And it's very similar to this in many ways. Brighter, more vibrant, poker size, so it's smaller. These are quite big cards, but I really do like this deck a lot. I haven't spent a huge amount of time with this one, to be fair, because I didn't want to damage it. Does that sound really silly? Mass market deck, I didn't want to damage it because it's so beautiful. I certainly probably wouldn't use it for reading for other people, but I would definitely, you know, it's for me. So we have the Keymaster Tarot. That's my 5. Number 6, let's go with a big one. So I'm just seeing who this is by. So it's a Llewellyn deck. It's the Otherkin Tarot by Shiloh Thompson. This is an animal deck. Comes with a really big guidebook. Plenty of text in there to get your teeth into to explain the cards. But it's just a beautiful deck for space. So it has this sort of reversible back. It's really, it's another serene decks with lots of emptiness in the card, and just these kind of like stains and watercolours. And I just really like the ease of this deck. Again, another simple, quiet, underrated, understated deck with simple line drawings. Probably, actually, this is probably my style of watercolour, although don't get me wrong, I cannot draw anywhere near to these standards. However, when I did go to a couple of evening classes for watercolour, it turned out that pen and line with watercolour was my thing. Because I'm no good at colouring stuff in, but I was okay at splodging colours around the page with a base picture. Two of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. Yes, I don't see this deck get a lot of show, to be fair, but I really like it. Her work is lovely. I don't feel the need to have all of her decks. This one's probably enough for me. But yeah, so that is the Otherkin, or Meeting the Otherkin by Shiloh Thompson. Finish there with the sun, because the sun comes out a lot and it's shining today. Yeah, I keep my decks in their boxes. Number 7. Let's do this one. So low Scarabeo deck, the John Bauer Tarot. Here's the backs. Really nice kind of, again, it's another fairy tale story. Not quite based in real world, real time, but the artwork was produced many, many years ago, and then someone has created a tarot with it, with John Bauer's artwork. That's how this has come about. So the images weren't produced for tarot. So these are great folklore fairy tale tales. You can buy the books to go with these. These remind me of my childhood, my growing up. I have talked about this deck before in a couple of my monthly reviews where I've used it. But like this one in particular, like these remind me of the images that I came across growing up with fairy tales and things, like big-nosed gnomes and trolls, and probably even just in the fairy tale books that I owned, these were the kind of images that were depicted. I always just remember them having big noses, even like witches had these huge big noses. Kind of very reminiscent nowadays to what I see gonks as, that we have kind of popping up all over the place. And the hidden tales live behind the gonks and the gnomes and the sprites of the houses. So yeah, this one has lots of interesting memories. It's a good storytelling deck. I have seen many people trim it down. I don't know if I'll be doing that. I quite like it with the borders on the edges, and to use as a tarot as well. I don't use this as an oracle, so I would really want to keep those. Whether I'd take the top off and keep, you know, I'm not sure. Haven't decided. Maybe it'll be a second deck that I do that too. So that is my John Bauer, which is a nice fun deck. We have Tarot of the She, excuse me, by Emily Carding. Love this deck. It comes with a really nice guidebook. Rochelle at Amethyst Ascension, sorry, talks about this one, and she talks, because she connects this deck quite deeply with the Fae spirits, and she talks about the little poems that are kind of created for each card rather than what we would normally expect to see. They're discussing the cards. So for Maker 9, which would be the 9 of Pentacles, the tree knows when its roots are strong that it may grow where it belongs, and blossoms spread their colour bright with gifts of water, soil and light. And then we have the keywords: independence, needs met, thriving, health, comfort, satisfaction. So if you think of your standard kind of 9 of Coins picture, it's usually kind of happy families depiction, isn't it? So that is the poem that goes with. So I have trimmed mine and I have edged it yellow because I think it deserved a bright colour. And when I say I've trimmed it, I've made it smaller. I've taken a little bit off the bottoms, the tops and the edges, like probably 1 millimetre off all round, basically, to make it smaller. So hardly noticeable, because I still like the black borders on these cards, but they're just not quite so big now. They fit my hands better. And we have keywords on these. So you could use them as an oracle if you wanted to, and take off the tops altogether. And then we have the suits are named differently. So I think that's why not everyone gets on with this deck always. So we have warriors, dancers, makers and dreamers. And a warrior 6, which would be your 6 of wands. So no foe too great. The star, I think that was a gorgeous star card. Some of them are a little bit pause for thought. You need to like stop and think about what they have on them. The devil card in this one is particularly not well received sometimes because it's a bit confronting. But that is the point, isn't it, when you're using cards? So there we go. There's our King of Wands on what reminds me of like a luck dragon, so Falcor. So yes, there we have our Tarot of the She by Emily Carding. Emily Carding does another deck, which I can't remember which one it is. I think I own that as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. Right, let's do this one. So this is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot by Phyllis Curott and Danielle Barlow. This is first edition mass market. It comes with the little kind of linen, it reminds me of denim really, like a denim book. And then it's got all the cards in there, what works you through. Has a slightly different system to your normal tarot. And for that reason, I'd need to spend more time with this one. These are the backs. And the deck itself is really beautiful artwork. So we have our Goddess of Water. The suits are a little bit different and the majors run in a different way, like back to front to what we're used to. So 17 is the Wisdom Keeper, and I'm going to have to look that up because to me that would be maybe... What does that look like to you guys? Hierophant type card? Let's have a look. Which is Wisdom, yeah. So Wisdom Keeper is the Hierophant. Will be how it is, yes. Because they're kind of reversed in numerology. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? Make sense? Yeah, so for those reasons, I know that lots of people do struggle with this one. So here we have the Maze, number 6. Fire, the Witch of Fire. She doesn't have a number. So I haven't done it to this deck because I really like this deck. I have drawn on it, one card, but I haven't done much else to this deck. I was going to write onto them little symbols, like, you know, I normally do, put my little symbols on them, but I haven't. There is a new version of this one coming out, and there's the card that I had to adjust because I don't like those animals. So I just had to cover up a bit of his arse to make it less disturbing for my visual sake, my delicate visual soul. So this is the Witch's Wisdom. Beautiful earthy energy again with this deck, that's why I have it. But when I get the next edition that's coming out, edition 2, because the cards are going to be smaller, then I can work with it. And I'll happily draw all over that one probably, and keep this one somewhere safe because it is it's a very special deck, I think. I don't think you hear many people talk about it actually. So I have that one. And my final deck, I think that's 10, is so the Star Tarot 2nd edition. The 1st edition had bigger cards and I don't think was as nice as the 2nd edition, if I'm just being completely honest. So the 2nd edition, if you're umming and ahhing, I would say get it. The box is bigger. It is there's your publisher. Forget what that stands for. Red Feather, isn't it? And the deck is produced by Kathy McClelland. So it comes with this big book, and this is one of the books that I recommend. In fact, this is a deck I recommend for beginners that want to learn about other systems. It's coloured, there's lots of text in here, lots of information. It crosses boundaries of different systems, so it crosses Rider-Waite into a kind of shamany, earth vibe spirit through Thoth, to me. It has like that kind of pip element as well, as does the Thoth decks. So it does do lots of different aspects of tarot, and that's why I recommend this deck for people that want to like cross merge and learn about other things and into other decks. So it comes with silver edging, which is really fancy for a mass market deck. It is beautiful, thick stock. It is chunky. It has beautiful backs on this one, different to the first edition. And I just like the fact it's not overly glossy. And I did trim the tops and bottoms. So I took the tops and bottoms off to make them a bit smaller so I could fit my hands around them, because they were just like 4 millimeters too big. And then I edged in golds and blues, various golds and blues to match the cards and the colours of the cards. So this deck is just gorgeous. Look at the colours, so vibrant, so beautiful. Like I said, not quite following any particular system, sort of a system within its own. And you could spend a lot of time. If you only had to have one deck, probably this could be the one, because it would take you a long time to kind of delve through all the systems, all the meanings, all the symbology that this deck throws at you. And I think that's a good thing, really. So this one won't ever be leaving my collection anytime soon. I think it's beautiful. It's got a lovely energy. The artwork is lovely and soft. And I think it's just been really well put together. People who had the first edition raved about the first edition. I didn't know this was a second edition, to be honest, at the time that I purchased it. But I'm very glad that this is the edition that I got, just because of the size of the cards. The images have been enlarged on this one. First edition has bigger borders, so the images are bigger on this one. They've been made bigger. They fill the whole thing. It's borderless, so the whole deck sort of pops for you. So that is my deck number 10. I've pulled one honourable mention out just because it is sat on my nightstand at the moment. So I have brought it just to talk about. Let's just put that one away. I've had to put a ribbon into my deck so I can get it out. Okay, so my honourable mention is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. Can't remember who publishes this one. It's by Lindsay Silverman, Eye of Astro. Comes with this little black and white book. By Ulysses Press. It's kind of like it is a nice little compact deck. Comes in a nice box, nicely made. Lots of words nice there, aren't there? It's a chunky deck. It's thick. It's semi, I don't know, it's not quite rose petal, but it's kind of coated with something which gives it a bit of a rose petal feel, so it sort of sticks sometimes when you're working with it. But it is a very nice deck. Has slightly different names on some of the cards, so there are renamed cards. We have I think the Thoth inspired court cards with the names. But yeah, there are lots of renamed cards in here. It is obviously, it's about the Night Goddess, so it's a female centered deck. So there we have 10 is chance. But it is a beautiful deck. So I think it's worth a definite mention. I don't think it's particularly RWS-esque. Meditation there for Hermit. Freedom for Chariot. No, meditation. Oh, anyway. The name's just completely left my brain. Meditation. Temperance. And so, there we go. So we have Witch. Not Temperance. There's Temperance. What am I talking about? People, please do shout out in comments. 12. Is that the Hanged one? I think it is. Meditation would be the Hanged one. Hang around for a bit and think about it. We've got the Nymph of Pentacles. There we go. Nymph of Wands. So, yeah. So there we go. That's my top 10, only 10, top 10, only 10. That's my only 10 for now. Only 10 decks for 2022. And then obviously each year that's going to change, isn't it? It's going to change about how I'm using them, what I'm doing, what else is in my collection, and what I have or haven't worked with. So what do you think? Were there any there that you expected to see or any that you didn't expect to see? Did I surprise some of you? And what's in your only 10 decks collection? And let's pop that one there as well. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Have fun, take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.